Hey everybody, we're here again with Gillian, another Australian. I've been with Billy Zig earlier on, and now with Gillian. She also is an Australian. You okay, my darling, first of all?
Yes, I'm good. I'm all stocked up. I've been watching this for a while.
Yeah, anyway, we're going to start with the welding of the people in.
Well, the first footage came out a few months ago. There wasn't a lot to decide whether it's happening. It started to come out of China. And you started to see footage of people, of the police, or whatever you want to call them, the authorities, welding the doors of apartment buildings closed. A little bit of dribbles came out of China, not much. So I actually think that China's probably missing millions of people.
Well, I put a
21
video
million
out,
people,
just very quickly, Gillian, I put a video out the other day. That's what the other one was. Remember I just told you before we went, on here, that this sort of Indian station, a bit like, say, it would be Sky News, they're putting out stuff. They put out that in, whatever it is, January, 12 million, it's like a whole phone company was turned off. The phones didn't turn on. Millions of people didn't turn their phones on.
Yes, 21. It was 8 million in one report, and 21 million in another report.
Yeah.
And I thought when since
But
China
that could be a. Do you know what I thought about it? That could be a whole network down. It's the network down for some reason. The whole company's gone bankrupt, and those people had their phones with them. That could have happened. Do you know what I mean? That means the network wouldn't come on. But that was one of my thoughts.
But meantime, a country with 1.5 billion people in it shut down. Nobody gave a shit. All that stuff comes from China. Our medicine comes from China. Our electronics come from China. They closed down. And the rest of the world went, oh, we don't care. We just keep going. China's closed down. Doesn't matter. Nothing to see, nothing there, nothing on the news. No one cared. There's been nothing on the news except for the last 2 weeks. They have just downplayed this from the word go. You've got Trump going out there, nothing to see, it's all beautiful. Our tests we've made are beautiful, and we're doing a tremendous job. Meantime, the airlines were closing down. You could see by the shipping.
Hey,
that nothing was coming out of China.
just on that one, right? We haven't had hardly any planes for about 3 days, 4 days, and we've got blue sky.
There are planes flying everywhere. You should check out the plane thingy.
They're not flying here. They're not going across here because I'm on the way to Heathrow. They're not flying across here. We've got no chemtrails, no clouds, no nothing.
You've got hundreds of planes in the air above England, UK. They're still flying.
Well, they're not flying this way. They're taking a different route right now.
Well, we're still bringing Australians home, so we still have flights flying. But I had 3 planes fly over my head yesterday and land. I know that they're closing down a bit, but they're still moving, and so are the ships. There's still a lot of ships going around. We're still sending stuff to China. Our ships are going a straight line up to China from the northern. So from our the new mines that they made in Western Australia, they made them ports. So that the stuff goes straight. It doesn't come down to any of the major city ports. It goes straight from these towns where they've got the new mines in, and they're going straight up to China and coming back down again. All that cargo ship. My hometown's in Portland, and they're not doing much shipping down there. The wharf has almost come to a standstill. But
it is quite incredible. They've managed to close it all down in less than 2 weeks.
The whole world. Yeah. Well, it's been going for a couple of months, but no one paid attention until now.
It's like we're being switched on to something else, like I said, maybe the fibre optics are being done to the 5G, and that's happening, and also
I think
the money thing's happening as well.
It's hard because, I've looked into Royal Rife and all that stuff, and germs aren't real, and there's that kind of version of, but the science that we live in is the words that we're having to use.
Because a virus has to be inside the body. You can't just catch it. It's got to be inside. This thing is supposed to be airborne, and they've got us in our houses. So if it comes across, or they spray us with it, or whatever they're doing, we're all in our houses. We're like sitting flipping targets.
There is strong science belief that this is a man-made disease. This is made up of 2 or 3 different diseases where they've just cut and pasted it all together. And I could, I'll post you.
But you know what? Did you see, like, you know how these things, they just come into your feeder? I've talked about it a few times. The Spanish flu of 1918's there. We lost, supposedly, we lost a third of our...
But it's stupid.
Of the population.
This isn't a flu. This is not the Spanish flu. This is a virus. You can't call it
No. It is a flu. It's got pneumonia with it.
Oh, okay.
It's flu with a pneumonia, and that's the bit that's killing people. But what they're not telling you is a lot of the people who are dying had multiple complications, maybe old, whatever, and those ones. But again, we don't know for sure. But today, a video went out today.
But that's not true.
There's a building in London that's about 1 kilometre long, and they're kitting it out as an extra hospital with 2 mortuaries, and it can fit 4,000 beds in London.
So is everyone going to call this a fake when they're seeing all the bodies carried off, when the coffins are going? I mean, do we have to wait till one of their family members dies before everybody realises there is something?
We're not seeing any of that. That's not happening, and a lot of the people are dying because they've got complications.
Because because everything doubles every 3 days, so you're not going to have a pat.
But who's giving us those figures? The media. The media are giving us those figures. And the puppets who were there before, who were lying, are lying now. They filmed this months ago.
And the numbers aren't exaggerated. The numbers are under-exaggerated. You take those numbers and multiply them by 10, and that's more what you're looking at is infections, whatever you want to call it.
1 second, someone's trying to call me. Someone's just trying to call me. Just let the call finish. Sorry about that. Just to wait for it to go. Okay. My Amy's calling me.
Yeah, that's okay.
I called her earlier on, but I can't put her into this call because we're on Facebook. That's it. She stopped now. Sorry, carry on. Yeah, you're a bit angry about it. It's a bit hard to know what to do because if it is real, but I don't think it is. And
well, see, I've had no one to talk to. I've only had one person to talk to about this for the last 2 to 3 months because nobody else wanted to hear about it. And you could see it was coming, and we're supposed to be the awake community, and you could see this was going to crash society. But nobody wanted to talk about it.
Well, we're never going to be the same after this, are we?
It was real.
Julian, we're never going to be the same. We're never going to be the same after this.
No, like, you know, they're waiting, a shift or, it's happened. It's not coming. It's already happened. Now we're living in the aftermath. It's been and gone. We didn't stop it. We just, other people didn't even know it happened, which I'm just freaking amazed by.
You got any toilet? Have you got any toilet paper? That was part of the game. Was they needed.
I was ready in toilet paper. I was ready on this shit fucking months ago because I knew it was coming. I've been warning my family, everybody. They've been laughing at me. I was okay, fine. Can't do anything. You're not watching the world slowly closing down. Australia closed its borders, but still nobody gave a shit. Where did they think all our fucking stuff was going to come from if we had our borders closed? China had its borders closed. Where's our stuff going to come from? Now that it's started to run out, people are going, oh, where's our stuff? You could have given a shit 2 months ago when China closed its borders.
Thing is, now it's bad. Say China has this big problem and is shut down and it goes into recession. That would still affect the world. But now we're all in it. We're all in it. We're never going to be the same coming out of this. Thousands of people have lost their jobs, including me. I've got no jobs, no money coming in.
No, we'll go on this one. We know what's coming. We've been talking about it for years. You know, this universal income, this now the Chinese credit system, negative interest rates. I mean, the whole lot. It's fucking coming.
But they did it. They crashed it for some reason.
Yeah. And they did it in a way now that we can't revolt. We can't complain. We can't even get out of our fucking houses because it's too late.
See, it's different for people. I go out.
We could have done something.
I go out,
but
right?
Nobody was.
But people like you and me, we stay in a lot because we don't want to go out there with the rest of the people because they're all zombies. And we do a lot of work on our computers. You've been doing the stars. You've been doing all sorts of things. So we're used to being in our homes. But it's a bit weird when you're told to stay in your home, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, God knows what they're doing behind the scenes while we're all in our houses and none of the shops are open and all that kind of stuff.
And my world isn't great, but if the rest of the world is shit, my world is going to be really shit. You know, I needed the rest of the world to have a great, so I could just be like, survive. Now that everybody else has dropped down to my level, it's going to be shit.
Well, yeah, but we're all in it together now, aren't we? And I just don't see how, at the end of this, they can say, right, you owe all your bills, because our whole world will have changed.
No, all the bills will go. You won't have. No.
We'll have to start. We'll have to start again with zip. You know, like we'll have our homes, but we'll have to start again. There can't be any debt behind us because none of us will be able to pay it. None of us are. Well, a lot of us aren't working.
I think the debt will stay, but they'll defer it. So we'll get like 6 months. Then they'll go, righto, now everything's up and open. You better get yourself a job and start paying off your debts. Your home loan is 400 grand, but your house is only now worth 100 grand. You still have to pay it. A lot of people will have to pay it bankruptcy. Same as what happens every time when something like this happens. You know, GFC crash, everyone lost their houses. They were overpriced in the first place. My house is priced at nearly $500,000.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. My son bought a 3-bedroom bungalow, a new one. It's 400 and something thousand. I mean, most of us can't, just for a 3-bedroom house.
No.
We were, this whole thing with the European Union hasn't helped because all those people just borrowed money and put the infrastructure in and they still got to pay it back. We've got out of it, supposedly, but I don't see, we're out of it, but now we're in this.
This whole system was bound to crash. They're blaming this virus for it, but it was coming anyway. It pisses me off that they get out there and go, oh, now because of the virus, we've had an economic collapse. No, if we had a strong system, we could have weathered this. Because you guys have fucked everything up, now the whole world's going to collapse, not just one fucking country. Because they sold us out, they sold everything in Australia. We used to be a self-sufficient country.
Well, the UK was the same, but we import everything here.
And that's the other thing, shutting down the borders. There are some small countries like Cyprus, they don't have their own water. We've gone and lived in parts of the world where we probably shouldn't be, without each other's help. If they collapse that down, they're not going to survive without.
Well, it's a very strange place to be, isn't it? Because we all know there's something going on. We're stuck in the middle of it. We've got to ride it to come out the other side, but we don't know what we're coming back into now because of all the jobs going. Like my youngest son, he lost his job. I've lost mine. My eldest son's worried about his. His wife's worried about hers. The only jobs that, he went to bed as a millionaire, and actually the best job you can get now is working in a supermarket because those people are still working.
When it starts back up again, people like that will be able to get jobs pretty easy. It's just riding out this period, and of course, no, that's not true because it takes a long time to recover after depression.
Oh no, it's a bit of a crazy place to be, isn't it? Because none of us really know what's going on. I mean, people are saying to me, don't you see all these people being arrested? But they're all actors. Like...
How are you going to get away with this shit? The only way you're going to get away with collapsing the first world countries like this is if you make everybody sick. So sick that they can't fucking revolt. Otherwise, you give it 2 weeks, the Americans are going to be shooting their ways out of their houses. And then they don't have enough food. So how do you control... I don't know. I just think a lot of people... We know they wanted to kill a lot of people. We know, what's his name, wants the population, Bill Gates, down to 500 million. So it's not like... I don't know why everyone has a hard time believing that there are people dying. This is much faster than watching them starve to death, because if you know you didn't have enough food for your country or the whole world, there's going to be a mass starvation happening because crops failed. A lot of crops failed last year. wouldn't it be better to kill them off with a virus than watch them all starve to death and civil riots and shit like that? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been forced on us, hasn't it? I just think it's part of a game, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's not like them killing off a third of or a quarter of the world's population is something they wouldn't do. It's like, I can go, oh no, they would never do that. They've been telling us they want to do this for ages.
Yeah,
decades.
it's in the NASA documents, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and we know they use viral warfare or whatever you want to call it, chemical, all that sort of shit as warfare. We know that part of the community looks into this stuff and makes all this kind of weapons. Why wouldn't they fucking make one and use it? I don't think it was accidentally released. I don't believe it came from monkeys. There's a one in, like, the chances that
don't forget, they're telling everybody different things. Like,
itself together.
The Chinese seem to be blaming the Americans. The Americans are blaming them and going and doing lawsuits. So it's all a bit crazy, really. Each country's told something different.
It means that a monkey that had to eat something that had then got SARS, then it had to eat something else and then got AIDS, and then it had to eat something else and then get something else, and then that's what this combination of coronavirus is. It's a cross between the SARS virus and AIDS and something else. And the odds of that happening out in the wild are fucking slim to nil. It's been made in the laboratory, I think. I believe. Even if viruses are, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call that fucking science, if you don't believe in germs and science and that.
Mm.
You want to call it electromagnetism, whatever. They've made a killer version of something, I believe. I don't believe you can fake this many deaths in every country around the world.
Yeah, but don't forget the media are giving us those figures, so we don't really know whether they're true or not.
But they're not. If you've been watching a while, you get to see that the people's posts, like, them talking and them showing you, them filming, and especially in Italy. Like, China was really hard, and that's why I didn't say anything much during China, but now that Italy have come out, that's why I've come out going, no, this is not fake. And we'll know soon, in 2 weeks, there'll be a lot of Americans dying, so we won't even have to argue anymore. So I just shut up. I just said, I'll just wait. 2 weeks' time, there'll be...
Yeah, but like I told you, they're not putting it into perspective. That flus and other viral, whatever you want to call them, viral things, there's a statistic with them. And if you put it into perspective, it's a wave of I don't even know. I just don't know. I don't know anybody, and it's just we've gone to this complete lockdown. They just seem to want us in our houses. It's all a bit weird to me. The whole thing's weird.
But it's been slowly coming. There was nothing. I could get nothing off the internet or from people or the official channels about any of this until a couple of weeks ago, and now my internet's just drowned in it. They kept this quiet for as long as they could. They could have shut down Australia and not had it even come here. So they had no intention. They wanted it to spread around the world. I don't know if China did it or if it was done to China. It's probably more China did it.
Well, so I've heard that China did it because they wanted to pay back to the world for something. So they're doing a payback to us. But then I hear,
I think the governments did it.
And then I hear that they're blaming America for releasing it.
I don't think the governments are in on it. I think the ruling elite did it. And the governments are just catching up, and now they're being told what they will do and how they will handle it. And then, as you know, as protocols run it, as soon as something happens, you bring in, something, the protocol takes over. So the ruling elite that did this would have known the reaction in each country. They're probably just sitting back having a good fucking laugh, watching everybody run around like dicks. Because they're not protected, they're all getting it. And I don't mean like the movie stars. I mean, they're dying as in the, what do you call that crew that you have running the, you know how you've like the UN, but Brexit. So that crew that are doing that in Europe, a lot of them are getting sick, like Iran. Well, now, why is Iran being hit? It's not like people go there for holidays. I think they've dropped this virus off, and they've got different strains of it and different potencies of it. I think it's an attack on the world. I think we're under attack by the ruling elite. Probably, and I know that they run the governments, but half those governments don't even know that they're run. They just think it's money and shit. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't know. They can do a lot of stuff in this, and I don't know if you let them know. You know, they're going to kill off the Queen and Charles so that.
Well, Charles has got coronavirus right now, but anyway, they're actors, and when they do, the flashing of the cameras, if you slow the footage down, you'll see that it isn't even Prince Charles. So it just seems that the actors are being killed off, and they're actors, or virtual reality actors are being killed off.
Well, it's perfect, isn't it? You get rid of Charles, then you let the Queen live for a couple more years, die of old age, and then she's probably the only thing that's been keeping England out of this mess. But her time is up, so her contract's probably over, and the next lot have got a role. I don't know.
I came across something, because they're so prepared to lie. I was watching. This is just changing the subject a little bit, but just to show you what they're capable of doing. I was watching a thing about Queen Elizabeth I, because we should have the real King of England lives in Australia. It goes Queen Elizabeth I, Henry VIII, Henry VII, and then the next one behind that, who's not a Tudor in the Tudor family, is Edward IV. Edward IV was illegitimate and never ever should have come to the throne, and he's not his mum. He's not sired by the king. He's sired by someone else. And then it should have gone to the Plantagenets line, and that king now lives in Australia. So that's one thing that's gone on. So our queen shouldn't even be there. What it was is I noticed on this Elizabeth I that they were showing these Tartarian maps, and they had Greenland only a little bit bigger than the United Kingdom. But then I was looking at the Four Rivers map, and I suddenly realised that when you put the Four Rivers, that map bit, and then you put Greenland with it, it's Greenland. Greenland was only the size of the UK, but now it's the size of America and Canada put together, which is a massive land. But it's got the Four Rivers in it, so the North Pole is in Greenland.
Yeah, when I've got a globe ball, and Greenland is not that big on the globe. It's just when they stick it on a round one that they make it big. But what I was going to say before was I've been watching a heap of documentaries on the royal family. So you go back. So we've got the story that the Queen became Queen because her dad had to be king because their evil uncle abdicated because he wanted to go run off with that girl and marry her. But when you find out what really happened was that the Queen, the church had a lot to do with it, and they didn't want Edward, is he the one that stepped down? They didn't want him to be king because yes,
Edward and Wallace,
Yes, but they were going to let it happen. But this guy in the church was not having a fucking bar of it. And so he went to the king's brother, and who's now like Queen's father and mother, went to them and said, look, we can't have these people in there, having their parties and whatever. And the Queen's mother and father agreed and said, no, that's okay, we'll step in and take over the throne. They basically usurped him and threw him out, then she banished him, the Queen's mother, and made it sound like it was all their fault that her father died because he had to take on the crown and became king too early. No, they fucking took it over. They kicked out their, the king that should have been king, and
you mean Edward? They kicked Edward. They kicked Edward out.
Yeah. And the Queen's mother was a full-on part of that because they were the church and they were the proper family, and he was like marrying a slut or having parties. They weren't following the church line, and so this church guy even went to the Prime Minister and talked him into siding with him, making a parliament thing saying that the king had to choose between either the crown or his girlfriend. Before that, they weren't going to do it. And then this guy put out this big speech about how like on the day straight after the king abdicated and said he didn't want to, but he had to. Then this religious guy put out a speech at the same time, saying like, glad he's gone and he should never have been king, rah rah rah. And then he got such backlash from it that he ended up losing his position anyway. But before then, he just had all this privilege, and he was allowed to go to the castle once a week to talk with the king. But when that king died and the new one came over, he was suddenly no longer going there. But yeah, it's just all that shit's happening still. I don't think the elite are united as everybody thinks they are. They would happily take each other out if it meant they got a higher.
Well, they're the ones. They probably live in Greenland.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's frustrating for us all, so I understand your frustration.
Oh, everything's a fucking lie.
Yeah, we do live in a fantasy world, don't we?
But I really think... Remember I said to you ages ago, the thing that's going to wake people up the most will either be money or health? And we were trying to wake them up before it came to that. Well, now everybody's lost their money. And if this disease, if this illness spreads, there's going to be a lot of life lost, I believe. I don't believe that China's only lost that many. So, like, the stats aren't even making sense.
Well, what about the millions that didn't turn their phones on? And what's this bit? Why are they... What? So they've been told they've got coronavirus and then they've locked them in their flats?
Yeah, it was apartment buildings. They were welding the doors shut of the apartment buildings. There was footage of police dragging people out of their apartments and locking them up. Because over there, they didn't have enough tests. So basically, they just went off temperature. So if they put a thermometer up to you and you had temperature, then they came and got you. They've got massive surveillance over there. So you can't fucking hide. They know where you are, that they were able to track where you were on a bus, who else was on the bus, then they'd just go and lock up all those people for 2 to 3 weeks, like just drag them out and they stuck them in motel. Well, it depended on your ranking in the community as to how nice a hotel you got or a confinement lock-up area. And then a lot of them, I don't know, I just don't think they'll be seen again. They died. They must have mass graves. I mean, nobody's talking about this. Where are we going to have the mass graves for all these people that are going to be dying? How are you going to fake a mass grave? How are you going to fake... I don't know. I just don't see how you can fake killing off a couple of billion people.
I don't personally think, even if they tell us those are the figures and they rant out these pictures and videos of all this stuff, I don't think it's happened.
They aren't telling us. Well, I think it's more than what they're telling us.
I think something else is coming. This is we're only at the beginning, and other things are going to happen because they've got us all in our houses. All the shops are closed down. Well, what? So at the end of 3 weeks, we go, oh, it's over now. Let's all start again. There's no jobs. People have got no money.
In 2 to 3 weeks' time, if it's all a fake, every doctor's as good as dead because they've all just lied to us. That will fall apart. That will be pandemonium if this turns out to be fake. Are you kidding? That means every body that holds authority is gone. They've just killed themselves.
Yeah, I can't wait for the people who are in the observatories to go as well, because they've lied to us about how far anything is away and pretending the stars are light years away. I'd like them to go to prison as well as all the politricks.
I mean, we can use this to our advantage. We can demand the shutdown of NASA. What the fuck are you doing going to NASA?
I said that earlier. You don't hear that, do you? You don't hear them saying, due to this thing we're in, and the fact that, obviously there's a less lack of money, we won't put the money over to NASA, we'll take that. You don't hear any of them taking the money back from NASA, do you?
No, in fact, if anything, they're going, how are we going to handle the coronavirus in space? Well, our astronauts are making sure that they lock themselves down so that when they can go to space without the... It's fucking ridiculous. Why are you going to space if there is this world-killing virus around? No, you guys should stay on the ground, save the money, and fucking save the American people.
That's what I think. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
So if nothing else, if you don't believe it's real, like, we can use it to our advantage on some topics.
Mm.
And if we were able to talk to each other about it rather than just arguing whether or not it's real, we could get a few steps ahead and get a few things. I mean, there should be memes out there everywhere about no NASA while the coronavirus is on. But how is that considered an essential service?
Yeah,
They
it isn't. It's all a fantasy because we can't go to space.
No. So what the fuck are the? But even if, but this time you can actually talk to people who believe in space. Don't tell them it's fake, but get them to demand that it gets shut down during this period. Like the rest of the fucking industries are being shut down.
They can't shut that down because that's how they funnel the money out to do the things to us that they're doing now.
But all those factories are closing to make the parts, or they're not closing, and all those people have to go to work and expose themselves to this killer virus thing just to make parts to go to space, which is going to do nothing for the world, which is now financially collapsing. What the fuck?
It is a little bit alarming though, because that's the bit you're upset about, is that we're stuck in this and it's totally alarming. And where are we going? What's going to happen?
No, I don't know what's going to
happen.
It's
unsettling, isn't it? For anybody, whether you believe in it or you don't believe in it, it's still just very unsettling.
Yeah. For me, the only way they can get away with it is if a lot of people die. And if we're all too sick to friggin' fight, because, even if a lot of us don't die, we're going to be very ill. No way you're going to want to revolt while you're feeling like you're dying.
I really hope this shoots them in their arse. That's what I hope.
Because I'm hearing there is a food shortage around the world.
Yeah, but they've been planning this for a while. They can do what they like, can't they?
Yeah.
They can make it look the way they want it to look, can't they?
It's this whole thing. It's fucking orchestrated. It is so orchestrated. It's just bang, 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 bang. They know exactly what they're doing whilst pretending they don't know what they're doing. And yeah, they're bringing in all this technology. We're going to have drones flying around. Have you seen the drones flying around Italy now, telling people to stay in their houses? And America is, oh my God, I saw this huge train of army shit heading towards New York. It was just a couple of hundred carriages of all kinds of equipment. And they're bringing in, and I don't know the name for it.
You don't know when they filmed that either.
No, this was live. This was people in their houses. It wasn't on the news.
Because, we've had something like, I put it on the channel, it was about the fact that in 1949 they made a double-decker train and it went to one of the London stations and it was there till 1971, but none of us remember it at all.
Well, they're bringing in the weapons that, the sound weapons. They're going to be using technology on us, like not guns and things. Especially America, they can't have a shootout in America with the locals. You're better off using these sound weapons that make them shit their pants and make them feel like insects are crawling all over them and that kind of crap. That's what they're going to use. I think all this new technology, they've just been dying to fucking test it on somebody, and they haven't been able to create a war.
All I hope is that they go to hell. That's what I hope. When it's time to go, they go to hell. It's pretty bad to do.
Well, if this virus is real, it's going to take just as many of them out, unless they go to their underground bunkers and hide away. And this place will be, I don't know, infected for a couple of years. We have had viruses before, illnesses that have spread around the place and wiped people out. Apparently.
Yeah. What do you reckon? We've been going for half an hour now. 35 minutes we've been going.
Yeah.
Do you want to carry on talking a bit longer? You got some more things to say, or do you think that you kind of covered your frustration there?
Well, like I said, I don't fit in with a lot of the truth community because everybody thinks it's a hoax. And I think it's a controlled rollout. And I do think they want to drop the population, so I don't see why would you fake one when you can just as easily make it real?
Because they're doing something else and they need a cover for it. But it's a bit, like you said, we couldn't go on the way we were going. I could see that. Like,
no. This is the cover for the financial crash. Now nobody's copping the blame for the financial crash because it's all the virus did it. But I don't think they're going to get away with that because everybody's, all the financial experts, they know that prices were up too high. They know about this fractional reserve banking fiat currency crap. They're starting to talk out about it. Mind you, makes you want to yell at them and go, what? So now you speak out about it, but in the last 20 years, nothing? Nothing, you all agreed to it because you all made millions off it. Now it's coming to an end. You're explaining why it's shit. Fuck you guys.
We don't know if we can believe any of that stuff. That's the thing.
No, but these financial advisors, they're sitting there with, we should have bought gold and silver. They're all stocked up. And they played the stock markets, and then they'll go, no, I've sold everything I got out of it. I knew this was coming. But you guys are assholes. You played it. You played it and won, but you shouldn't have been playing it at all because the whole thing was fucking corrupt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the whole thing's corrupt, and there's a smell of a stink on it.
I just hope we don't get communism coming in.
Oh well, do you know something? I've been looking at it. They've been telling us all along how Russia treated the people and all the things they did, but when you look at it, they're doing the same to us. They said that was communism. We've already got communism. We're already in it. There's no democracy. We're already there.
Yeah, but it's going to be open.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is, basically, they've turned the world into a boot camp right now.
Well, they tried to bring in this digital currency into America last night. Part of their government package from the RBA, the bank, was that they pay everybody this money that they're going to give them in their digital currency. And thank goodness the American government, or whoever, said no. But they're throwing the idea out there, so it will only be a matter of time before they swap money.
Yeah, I think it's a money thing. I think it's obviously other things. Maybe it's the fibre optics, because Ellie's dad, I remember he went for a course and he came back, he just said, because he did a course on fibre optics. We're talking of quite a few years ago. We're talking of maybe nearly 20 years ago or something. But they said to him he would have had to go for more. He'd gone for a couple of days to learn about it, but it would have taken him years to get what fibre optics is because it's such an amazing thing. So goodness knows what they're doing with that. Everybody's been going on about 5G. Maybe it's the fibre optics is the problem.
Well, Australia was going fibre optics. Then they decided it got too expensive, so they stopped halfway. So now we're halfway between one or the other. Everybody that's on the MSN, which is fibre optics, hates it. It's fucked, it's shit, it's slow. They should have just left it how it was. We're now in a backwards country. But this 5G shit is a bit of a worry. It's the microwave technology where it heats up the oxygen, vibrates the oxygen molecules or whatever and makes it hard for you to breathe. That's just a very vague
Yeah, because that's the other thing is that maybe China turned on their 5G and half the people have died.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with it being 5G over a virus. Whatever it is, people are dying. Is my
Well, we don't know for sure whether people are dying, because don't forget they lie to us all the time. The media are giving us those figures.
I know, but I just find it hard for all these Italians. Once I went to Italy, and now I'm seeing other countries, because from here, Australia, we get India. I get all of them, Al Jazeera, and the people too. But I'm finding it hard to find any normal people footage now. It's all just drowned in official TV stations from different countries around the world. But the Italians, like this one lady showed a newspaper of all the deaths that were in there. And yes, they could be actors. I guess I haven't seen like 200 different images. No, as I said, I'm struggling to get anything on the internet. It's just, unless you know the people or someone's sharing it, it's very hard to find. They've changed the algorithms. Nothing's coming up their fucking official crap.
I know. But anyway.
And I know that statistics are not cool.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, the other day we were talking about just got to try. I know it might sound a bit weird, but you've got to give out love. I think love, everybody. Just feel love and hugs and.
I think everywhere is going to be different. Every country, every town.
We don't know what it's going to be like that, because what happens in 3 weeks if they say, "Oh, we've got to be shut down for another 3 weeks"?
Because people think this is just killing old people, but what's happening is the old ones are falling first, and they need the support thing. But now in Italy, they're getting 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds with no previous health problems, and they're on life support machines.
Yeah, but this thing passed through in a couple of days. You only get it for a few days.
No, you don't. You watch The Critical. They're taking you get on one of those life support machines. You're there for 2 weeks to 4 weeks. Maybe those other breathing. And there was this one nurse. She showed you in her ICU unit. She showed quite a bit, but she showed her ICU unit. She showed how all the machines were outside the room, and they'd been, made the cords longer so they didn't have to go into the room so often. They were turning the patients once every 12 hours to try and stop the blood from, gathering in their lungs. And then they had one guy sitting up in the corner, and she said he's our star patient because he's the only one who's woke, who's sat up. Everybody else has died and gone out. And they show you the coffins down in the mortuary in the church, just loading up. They'll show you the armies come in and trucking out.
Yeah, but they can film all that. They've had years to make the films. Once you know the media and the internet is a load of lies, it's hard to believe that they're ever telling us the truth. But
no, people aren't going to know until people around them start to die, and then it's too late.
Yeah, but we don't know this is fact. None of us have seen it.
Then you've been infected.
We can't, oh yeah, and like I said, they've got this place that's about 1 kilometre long, and this bloke said, "I'm in here doing some electrics in here, but they're going to turn this into a hospital with 4,000 beds and 2 mortuaries."
Yeah. Well, when you see
but they're building that now. I thought the virus is passing, so why are they building it now? Surely, I just don't get all this. I just think something else is coming. I don't know what it is, but something else is coming.
The reason it's hard to catch is because it takes up to 2 weeks to incubate, 2 to 4 weeks. So you could have it for 2 weeks and not even know it. So you've spread it around to 10 people every day. Then 2 weeks later, you start to feel shit. Some people don't. Some people just get a mild dose and don't even know they have it. But if you're going to crash, you don't necessarily crash really quickly. But once you start to crash, and then a lot of people are staying home longer because the hospitals are getting overwhelmed. And then when they go in, they're crashing quicker because they've stayed home longer and they're getting harder to treat. Because it's a breathing thing. You can't breathe. You can't get enough air in the lungs, which is the same as the 5G. And I don't know enough science about medicine or 5G to argue either one or against either one.
Yeah. I've just got a feeling there's something else.
We wanted this world, we wanted it to end. How did we think it was going to change? With a rainbow?
And it wasn't going to be very nice for any of us, was it? But we weren't expecting the whole world to go down.
No, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting a virus. And I think we're going to have war. I think people are right. There's war over the oil. Because that's the other thing people are missing is that the price of oil has dropped to $25 a barrel. Any other time it's done that, it's war. And if America doesn't have enough resources to feed its people, they're going to use that as an excuse to go to war. Because they need oil at a higher price.
Wars make money.
So, yes, and that'll make them the money, give them their industry, feed the people. The rest of us fuck, though, because they've got so much weapon. But then Russia will step in, along with fucking China. It'll be fucking on.
But you've noticed, haven't you, before we even got here, everything was just, I just felt like it was I don't know, everything was ramping up. Everything was like, oh God, there's just been ramping up masses. We just kept saying it. Yeah, it's just really ramping up right now. But didn't think this would happen.
We're waiting for the economy to collapse. Really. I was. It was just getting too out of hand. The debt bubble was massive. It's a reset. That's the word I'm looking for. A reset.
Yeah,
well, it happened,
I'd say that.
think, when the price of oil dropped. And that was Saudi Arabia. So what happened was OPEC, America went and asked everybody if they would lower their prices. And Saudi said, yeah, no worries, we're going to lower their production so that there wouldn't be a flood of, oil on the market. The prices dropped. And Russia went, no, fuck you. And they kept producing. So Saudi Arabia went, well, fuck you too. And they tripled their production. And they're having this war, and neither of them can afford the prices down where they are, but they're doing it anyway. What the fuck's... I mean, Saudi Arabia was supposed to be mates with America, I thought. And that's what's collapsed the monetary system. They, like the whole time, no one gave a shit that China had closed up until when the oil dropped last week, the week before. I was actually, the first time I've ever watched the stock market was last week or the week before, and that's when it crashed. It just, within 3 seconds, it dropped down so far that they had to put these things called breakers on, where it freezes for 15 minutes and everyone has to cool off. It just went straight fucking down, like bang, and the alarm went off. And it's just been going down. They keep throwing billions of... So they're borrowing money, or, the Reserve Bank is printing heaps of money for them to borrow, but all they're doing is borrowing it and buying their shares and putting their shares back up, so in the market it all rises back up again. They're not... It's the same as they're fleecing us, same as they've always done. And a lot of CEOs have quit in the last 3 months. They even did it in January. There were a few of 4, I think, American politicians now have been charged with insider trading, so they knew that this crash was coming. They didn't tell the American public. They didn't tell anybody. That's what I couldn't work out. It was like, China's closed its borders. That's a lot. That means a lot financially, even if you don't care about people dying over there. You only care about Africans dying. Care about Chinese. This is going to affect us financially. Nobody cared. They just moving on. It's like, our stock's not going to turn up soon. Nobody cared. Moving on. And then before they went to tell everybody, shit, we're not going to have food and everything this year. We're not going to have anything to export. They did a crash of the fucking oil. And then oh, look, coronavirus has just appeared out of nowhere. Like, no, it's been here since November last year. You guys have had 5 months to print as many masks as you need, as many IC things as you... All this shit, you've done nothing. And all these people that have survived, the numbers are really quite low at the moment because they've got the life support. But as soon as those are all full, then people just start dying. They don't get to go into hospital. Then the numbers will increase massively by the day. And I just don't see how you can fake all of that. The death, I think you can orchestrate it. And then I've heard people say, no, that's too random. They like to be really, precise in what they're doing, who they're killing. And really, well, you get sick of that. When you want to do a Thanos, it's like 50% of the population's going to go, who gives a shit? So who's left when it's over? I mean, they play Russian roulette all the time. People do. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to fake it in America.
Right.
People, I mean, I guess until it gets to our own country, they're just numbers on a screen. But if our parents start dying, and so I have a face mask. I'm just, I'm not going to get it anyway. I'm usually a carrier, so I probably should just stay away from everybody because I'll probably just pass it on to them, even if I don't get sick myself. Either way, I got prepared food-wise because I thought China closing was going to affect me food-wise. So I started buying a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. Started slowly stocking. I still don't have anywhere near as amount as what I'd like because I don't have the money. But if they tell us, I don't think they're going to get away with locking up the Western world for more than a couple of weeks. And if it's not real after a couple of weeks, there's going to be riots. There's going to be hell up. We're not like the Chinese. We won't just go, oh, okay. You overreacted. Ha ha ha. You accidentally shut down the whole world's economy. But we know it was a mistake. We didn't mean to do it. No bullshit. We know you did it on purpose. You still there?
Yep, I am.
Sorry. I don't mean to be doomsday shit.
That's all right. Well, yeah, you've got a bit calmer now and slowed down a little bit. We've been going for nearly an hour now.
Okay, yes, we'll stop.
But I'm really glad that you got your frustrations out, Trouble.
I don't know that anyone's going to agree with me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to stir up shit.
So what are you standing by? You think the virus is real?
Yeah. I haven't said anything for the longest of times, but I do think people are dying. I do. And I think people should just be careful. Not die. Make sure you're not one of them. But either way, I just thought, you're damned if you do, you're damned if they don't. If they shut us down, we're all going to starve to death. So why aren't they letting us have a say in the matter? Maybe we would rather just protect the vulnerable, lock up the old, lock them up, but protect the older people and the vulnerable, and the rest of us could just keep going on as normal. We're just not getting a say. We're not getting enough information at all. And there's so much contradicting information coming from the so-called experts. One says this and one says that, like you've got all the doctors saying this is very, contagious. Stay away from each other. And you've got Trump going, nothing's wrong. This will all be over within a week. And then it's ramped up. It hasn't gone away. So what the fuck's going on? So anyway, yes, so sorry people, but just be careful, that's all. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done ranting, sorry.
You're done, are you?
Yes, I'm done.
Trouble is done. Well, it's been fascinating listening. It's not that we have that many women. Amy comes on a bit. We don't get that many women coming on for a chat. But thanks for that, Trouble. It's been, well, I call it great. It's been great.
You're welcome.
And so that's good night from Trouble and good night from me. The chat room. Thank you so much, Trouble.
Bye. You're welcome.